Any compliance person listening to us right now is like, no, don't even talk about it on the podcast. Like, just move on. Talk about the weather.
Hey there! You're listening to Those Real Estate Brothers podcast, where Joseph and Jared share what they know in real estate and all things local, including local restaurants, businesses, and cool stuff. Which brother is more interesting? Well, you're about to find out.
What's up?
How are you?
Yeah, here we are
It's another day, another podcast.
at a table.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We're still not sure why we changed anything, but we'll see how this feels.
So what's going on? What's new?
Well, you tell me. We've been working on something since yesterday. Already got pretty far into it.
Yeah,
You want to announce it?
It's something we've been thinking about doing a while. So we're having a charity event. A lot more details to follow, but we locked up a date. We locked up a location,
So now we're obligated. We're stuck with it.
and we told more than each other.
So who we raising money for?
We're
We're still planning everything, so things may change, but we're talking about what?
breast cancer, metastatic breast cancer, and somebody close to us that is going through that right now. So we're going to try to raise money for that. We're having it at Lithology Brewing. It's going to be a lot of
Right here on Main Street. They made the brewery a little bigger. We had Manny on the podcast a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so I reached out to him to see what kind of capacity he has, and with his new setup, he's got like a capacity of like 70, 75 people.
Including, I think, the back patio, right? So
I think
indoor,
so.
outdoor.
Yeah. I don't know. You might know more than I do.
I read the sheet, so I guess I do.
Yeah. So it should be a fun event. It should be a fruitful one. We're going to raise some money for a good cause. And yeah, I'm excited. Can the host get drunk? I don't know.
I mean, we're having it at a brewery. I think that's. I think it's okay.
It's kind of like your wedding, right? You gotta be good for a certain period of time, and then once the
grandparents start complaining about how loud the DJ is, it's a free game.
Once you go to all the tables and say hello, then you can start doing shots.
Let loose. So be at Lithology. There's gonna be sponsorships. We were talking today, like offering sponsorships. You could get a beer named after you for the night, or there'll be different things like that. So I guess we'll still keep coming up, but posters up of the sponsors. So we'll have some sponsorships. We'll sell tickets. I mean, I think we have a goal of $5,000 in profit to raise. So
that's correct.
It's pretty big goal.
Yeah, I'm excited. So
I mean, it's what we talk about with our agents, isn't it? If you wait till everything's lined up and perfect, you're never going to do anything. So you put a date on the calendar. This is what we're going to do. This is when we're going to do it. And then now it's a scramble from now until the 22nd of June to make sure it all falls into place. But you will, because that's how we think, right? That's how our brains work as humans with deadlines. Oh, I got to do this by this day. When it's more abstract, one day I want to plan a charity event. I mean, we've been saying that for probably a couple of years.
Yeah.
So finally, okay, we're doing a charity event on this day. It's the part of those principles we learned with all the WICA training and stuff, right? JFK didn't say, one day we might get to the moon.
I can't believe you just brought that up. I was about to say I felt like JFK.
All right, go for it. What did JFK say?
You tell me.
He didn't say one day we might go to the moon and we're going to try really hard and someday we'll get there. He said we're going to go to the moon. We're going to do it by this time and we're going to do it because it's important. And that's how you have to do stuff. I'm going to make my phone calls tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'm going to do the laundry every day at 9 a.m. Whatever you want to accomplish, you got to say, when are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? But
you got to say, I'm going to do my laundry at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and my clothes are going to be clean.
Right. Well, you got to see it through, and you really have to put the time on it. When are you going to do that? Because the how is usually easy. Everybody knows how to do their laundry. Everybody knows how to make phone calls. We're involved in enough organizations. We know how to have a function. That's not what trips people up. It's not the how are you going to do it. It's actually starting it. It's the when are you going to do it.
It's human nature to protect yourself, and the fear of failing is partly due to that, right? You're trying to protect yourself, and no one ever says I'm completely ready to start this, right? You need that kick in the butt. So anyway,
we tell that to buyers, right? If everybody waited to buy a house, we'd have a nation of renters. If everybody waited till things were perfect to have kids, nobody would have kids. It's never perfect. Like, at some point, you just do it.
Yeah, you make it work.
So that'll be exciting. More details, all the details, because we have no details to follow.
Yeah.
So what else? What's been going on with work? Everybody's telling us our market's dead and the world's ending in real estate. What are we seeing?
It's a normal market, right? Seasonality is back, so the winter was a little slow. You look at mortgage originations; those are down, but we're entering into the spring. The savvy seller will probably get on the market rather soon.
Mm.
The other sellers will be a little behind, but one of the things we're starting to see is the back to work, right? You have all these big corporations saying, hey, you got to get back in the office. So over the last several years, a lot of people went to these different areas throughout the country, whether they like snowboarding and they moved to Colorado, or they like beer and barbecue and moved to Austin, or all these other things. You're starting to see now businesses saying you have to get back to work. And what is the biggest business hub in the country?
New York.
New York. So we have a couple of customers who are relocating back to New York for work. And reload in New York is something that I think is going to be continuing to happen because of the financial sector and basically all businesses in New York.
What is reload? What do you mean? What is it when somebody relocates? What are we talking about? They just move, or is it more to it?
Well, there's lots of different types of reload, but relocation, basically relocating for your job. So whether it's a new job or the job that you're currently at, HR is basically saying we need you in this city. So again, New York is a popular spot. And then when somebody reloads, sometimes the company assists with that sort of stuff, and they'll actually provide some moving expenses, maybe closing costs. And it's kind of on a tier level. So the higher employee you are, maybe you're an executive, you're going to get a lot of financial support and a lot of support throughout the move. And then as you kind of go down the totem pole, you might get a little less support. But there's some version, usually with the employer involved, of assisting with something.
And how do those people, I mean, they don't really differ that much than somebody else is just moving, except they have to do this from far away, right? That's kind of what makes it harder for them.
And I think as realtors, working in the area we grew up in, we kind of take for granted how well we know all these communities. Could you imagine relocating to just some city that you know about? You maybe watch
every
TV
day about
shows
3 p.m. I could imagine just getting the hell out of New York and leaving my job. But besides that, sure.
But that it ends there.
Yes.
Now all of a sudden you got to pick a specific neighborhood out in the New York metro area. That's got to be definitely stressful. And as a realtor, you got to put yourself in their shoes and say, okay, let me stop and let me forget everything I know. What kind of things is going through that person's mind, and how can I maybe assist and answer? So and I think a lot of people know, as realtors, we're very limited to suggesting neighborhoods. It's just something that's not part of our what we're allowed to do.
Business.
So there's definitely ways to guide buyers that are relocating to New York, and there's different steps. But the first thing I always tell
any compliance person listening to us right now is like, no, don't even talk about it on the podcast. Like, just move on. Talk about the weather.
But there's certain factors, right? Your budget. That's an important factor. You got to know what your budget is. Your commute, right? How far of a commute do you want? And then what kind of house you want? How many bedrooms? How much space? How much of a big of a yard you want? And if you could kind of identify those three things, you could go on Weichert.com or any other search engine and see where the majority of the houses that fit your budget, fit your commute, and fit the kind of house you want. And I would suggest to just write down every town that you think might fit those three things. You just write them down, right? After that, then you can kind of dig in and do some research and really dig in the details.
Yeah, it's definitely a different type of buyer. It's usually a higher net worth buyer, and commuting time, schools, community. That's all kind of the same, right? I mean, people are worried about that whether you already live here or you're moving to it. Most of the people we see doing corporate relo into New York do have ties here already. They didn't choose New York for no reason. They have the wife grew up here, the husband grew up here. They have
and even
somebody here to ask some questions.
You're moving here for work. Maybe you have a sales team that you're in a relationship with that lives here.
Where does everybody live? Where do you guys live? What do you think of this town exactly? So they have some place they could draw it. It's kind of our job as realtors to tell them where they could go get the info. In the old day, well, go to newsday.com and see what they say about neighborhoods. But that's useless to them. But Dad always asks people, well, if we go a little further east, we could afford more. Based on affordability, I think we have to look at some other areas. What other areas? Oh, I don't know. What do you think? Doesn't matter what I think. Who do you know that lives on Long Island? Oh, well, my friend lives over here. Sorry about that. My friend lives over here at this town. Oh, did you like that town? I think so. He's happy. Great. That's a town. You want to look in that town? You kind of have to have them point them to their friends, their family, their coworkers, something so that you could come back. If they tell you, I want to be within a 35-minute train of Midtown, that used to be easy. We say Penn Station. Now you got the Grand Central. I don't know. Now I got some more research to do. Yeah. Jamaica's a mess, the stop. But okay, 35 minutes. These are all the stops within 35 minutes. Which of these towns you want to go look in? And, they can tell you a lot about, this is the kind of house I want. And that tells your neighborhood too. If somebody says I want a sprawling 5-bedroom ranch, that limits their neighborhoods in Nassau County.
Sure does, yeah.
That's North Shore, that's South Shore by the water. There's not a lot of places that are going to have big wide line ranches on quarter acre or better lots. And
for some of these people that maybe, some of these people only have maybe 2 or 3 visits to the New York area to kind of to look and when they get that small short list based on their own research, maybe asking family members, friends, etc., you can only do so many Google images and Google Maps. So sometimes a service that an agent could do, and we do it, is you literally just do a tour of maybe the downtown in that specific neighborhood that they're interested in, and do like a video tour as you're driving through the streets.
Right.
I know I would appreciate that if I was relocating somewhere else.
You got to trust your agent to use those videos, right? Because which street did they drive down? The nice one with the trees or the busy one with the double yellow line? And I think that's why some agents shy away from corporate relo. That makes them nervous. They don't understand it. How am I supposed to show someone houses that doesn't live here, doesn't know the neighborhoods, and they kind of just move on to the next one. But those buyers very often are going to be much more mobile. So they might be selling that house in 3 years because now they got the promotion, they're moving down to D.C., or they may have bought that house, it worked, but it wasn't perfect. So now that they kind of have a better feeling.
2 years later. Yeah.
I had somebody I was working with who, needed to be close to the city. They were looking in Port Washington. They ended up buying a house in Rockville Center. They felt it was a better fit for them. So if they would have bought that first house, we have the accepted offer on in Port Washington, I'm pretty sure they would have ended up moving. So, but that's intimidating for agents, but it is worthwhile. And corporate relo could work the other way, couldn't it? Where they actually sell the house here in New York because their company transferred them. And a lot of agents will shy away from that as well because that's easy. Okay, listing. But you're not listing. Your client really isn't the homeowner. It's the relocation company, and there's a ton of paperwork and a lot of processes to go through.
And even when the relocation company doesn't take title, they're still super involved.
They're paying a lot of the fees usually.
So you kind of you have 2 clients, and you're answering to 2 different people. But it's definitely something that I think you're going to have a little bit of a reshuffling again, similar to what we saw, during the pandemic, where people kind of just went wherever they want. Now I think people are going to be relooking at that, and there's going to be I don't want to call it a great migration, because I don't think that great migration ever happened.
No, everything's the same, even though it's completely different, right? I'm working with a friend of ours who wants to buy a house, and all the payments we look at for all the houses are $4,200, $4,300 and up. And it just makes me, he wasn't ready to buy last year or 2 years ago, but during the pandemic, how many people say, oh, the prices are crazy, it's unaffordable? Well, here we are, it's less affordable. When I first bought my house, I think my payment was like $3,300 a month with taxes and everything. Now you see people, you're selling houses to people with $4,300 a month payments. You're like, how's anybody going to do that? But that's the same thing they said to me 10 years ago.
Right.
Oh, who could ever afford $3,300? And I'm like, well, I got an apartment. It's not that bad. And, I can make it work. So I find myself in the same trap. But that affordability, people who are waiting for it to be more affordable, doesn't seem to matter, does it? Every 10 years, everything's more expensive. It doesn't matter.
What product or service in every single industry all over the country where prices go down?
I think the only place that was like consumer goods, Walmart. Walmart actually made stuff cheaper for the last 20 years. So you bought a master lock for, I don't know, $20, and 10 years later it was $7. And we could get into whether or not the way they did that was even good for the world. Probably not. Move all those jobs to cheaper places overseas. But
which is a piece of bazooka.
I don't even think they sell pieces of bazooka.
You're probably right.
They sell them in a package now, and it's like $5.
So you remember Wes?
Yes, I don't know.
So
where you go with this one? Wes was the ice cream man, good humor man. He was our mom's good humor man when she was a little girl, and then he stuck around till we were like in high school.
He smoked cigarettes
yeah,
just chain smoking. But I had $20. I don't know how old I was, maybe 8 years old, and I had $20, and I was all excited for Wes to come because I was going to buy $20 worth of bazooka gum.
Yeah,
and they were 5 cents a piece.
Yeah.
So I flag him down. He stops and he says, "Hey, what's up, guys?" As he's got a cigarette in his mouth, smoking. And I say, I want $20 worth of bazooka. And he's like, I don't even know how to do that. So he got a brown bag, and he just piled it in. He gave me a full brown bag.
Counted them up, 5, 10, 15,
He wasn't counting them. He was just throwing piles in.
That whole box cost him like $1, so he made $19 on it.
And that's what really pissed Mom and Dad off. So I would go home, and I tell I'm proud of this bag.
I got a giant, look, I could have got 2 ice creams, 3 ice creams. Instead, I got a pile of 5-cent gum.
So I'm proud of this bag of bazooka gum, and Mom was pissed. And she flagged him down the next day, and I think she got the $20
Yeah. She made him buy the candy back.
Yeah. Anyway.
So you're right, though. Things don't get cheaper. So the prices go up. Even when the market goes down, prices go up. Everything gets more expensive. So
people aren't ready. Some people aren't ready. And even those people, I tell them, keep your pre-approval updated, because you don't want that perfect house that is your brother's next door neighbor selling, or your sister's cousin selling, and you want to buy that house and you're not in a position to even make an offer. So you keep that pre-approval updated, and if the right house,
I think you also really have to evaluate why are you going to wait. So the same friend was telling me, well, in about 6 months, he should be getting a promotion. He'll be making more money. I said, well, how many payments do you have between now and then? Because he could qualify, but it is tough. Well, I don't know. What do you mean? Well, it's going to take you 2.5 months to close on the house. You got a month or so before the first mortgage payment. We're 4 months in to 6 months from now. Might be 2 payments. So if that payment is whatever, it doesn't matter, $1,000 more than you're comfortable with now, but in 6 months it would be okay. We're talking about $2,000, maybe $3,000.
Yeah.
In the course of a $600,000 transaction. It's not a ton. Maybe we could even get the seller to throw in a little concession to make up for it. So why are you waiting? Well, I need to get my finances in order. Yeah, you and, I don't know, 350 million Americans are also hoping next year their finances will be a little bit better. So
it's tax return time.
It's important to really understand, what am I waiting for, and is that likely? Does that mean I should stop, or does it just mean I maybe don't have to feel as much pressure to find something? But nothing's going to be cheaper next year, because that's just not the way the world works.
No.
The best example of that I ever had was a school was talking about their roofing, and they were planning on re-roofing this school. And the reason they were putting a new roof on the school was the warranty was up. The warranty was a 20-year warranty for a flat roof. At the end of 20 years, the company doesn't warranty the work anymore, so any repairs they'd have to pay for. So, well, that doesn't make sense. Just because the warranty wears out doesn't mean I'm thinking car again, the roof is going to start leaking. I mean, you might get another 5 years, maybe you have a repair or two. I said, yes, but when we do the math and we look at what it costs today, this is pre-pandemic by about a year, so he was dead on, what the cost is for the roofing materials labor now versus what it might be in 3 years or 5 years, the cost of installing that roof 5 years from now is way more than it is right now. So we're going to have to do it anyway. Do you want to do it in 2018's labor rate and cost rates, or do you want to do it in 2022's labor rate and cost rates? Well, turns out Farmingdale Schools made a really good financial decision by doing it when they did, because that roof could have very easily been double at this point between labor and materials, if you even could get the materials. So something you got to think about with housing too. I'm going to wait a year, make a little more money. Okay, but are we just chasing our tail? Are the houses just going to be more? The rate's going to be higher. The Fed said now maybe they'll be getting higher again. So all those people who weren't buying 2 months and 3 months ago, we're starting to see, that might have been a mistake. Maybe we should have been buying then.
Yeah, interesting stuff. So what have you been doing lately?
Local, I don't know. I feel like nothing all that new. We got the Farmingdale St. Patrick's Day Parade Pretty excited for that. That should be fun. Some corned beef, cabbage, maybe a Guinness or two. We'll see.
Nice. We had a great awards dinner last week.
Yes.
Recognized great Weichert agents within the metro area, and that was a great time.
Yeah.
DJ, photo booth. It was cool.
It was fun. It was definitely fun. It's important. It's important to have a good time. Everybody works real hard. You got to enjoy while you're working hard.
Somebody started the martinis. I don't know who. Maybe it was
Wasn't
Chuck.
me.
It was
Wasn't
maybe
me.
Chuck. And I followed suit. So
I saw somebody with about 14 olives in a martini. It wasn't you or Chuck. So maybe
that was
they
somebody
started.
that doesn't. They like martinis, but they don't.
They like olives. They
don't
like antipasto. And they.
I was thinking they might not like olives, but that's when you're at home using the same cup, and it's just add more.
No,
olives.
no. She
She
was getting a ton of olives, and I was laughing because it looked like an antipasto cup instead of a martini.
That's funny. All right.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you next time.
Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks for listening to Those Real Estate Brothers with Joseph and Jared. Subscribe now to get updates on future episodes, and please share it with others. Want to connect? Message us on Google, Facebook, Instagram, or text. We'll see you next time. And remember to always work hard and be nice.